You know, I spent time last week in my district, too, talking to people. I spend time every weekend talking to the people in my district. And you know what they complain about the most? Unnecessary rules and regulations. I met today with folks from the home building industry. They can document that 25% of the rules related to home building are unnecessary and drive up the cost of doing business for homes. And we need new homes everywhere. My colleagues are they're trying to make it look like what we're doing is frivolous. Mr. Speaker, this is far from frivolous.
Look, just to be clear, I'm not trying to make their legislation on commercial freezers look frivolous. It is frivolous. The American people understand that. They get it. Now, maybe there are a lot of people in the chairwoman's district buying commercial freezers. Again, I can assure you, not the top priority of the people that I represent in northern Colorado and in western Colorado. Far from it. Now, I must say, I did hear with interest, Chairwoman referenced visiting with her constituents. And I would just simply say, my understanding was that the chairwoman doesn't do town halls. I think she recently said in an interview that she doesn't do town halls because they're an opportunity for constituents to yell at their congressperson.
Well, first of all, Trey, I always tell people if they want me to have a town hall, please come to my office and sit down and talk with me. I'm happy to answer your questions and talk with you personally. I don't do town halls because I think it's just an opportunity for people to yell at their member of Congress.
So I find it of great interest that I would just encourage the chairwoman and every member of the Republican caucus, do a town hall. Nothing to be afraid of. Great opportunity to visit with your constituents. And perhaps if you do that, you will come away with the same conclusion that I did, which is that the legislation we're considering today is a waste of time and grossly disproportionate to the priorities of the American people.
What's up, everybody? Major Retired Richard Ojeda here, and Republicans are too scared to face their constituents, and they're hiding behind walk-in refrigerators. Virginia Foxx says she won't hold town halls because it's just an opportunity for people to yell at their member of Congress. But the truth is, Republicans aren't protecting democracy. They're doing everything they can do to hide from it.
We in the Congress are taking back our authority from unnamed, unaccountable bureaucrats who, in the dark of night, write unnecessary rules and regulations that burden the American people and drive up the cost of business and drive up the cost of products.
While Americans are losing jobs, Social Security offices are closing, veterans are watching their benefits get slashed, and global instability is mounting, House Republicans are burning floor time on appliance regulation. Walk-in refrigerators, commercial freezers, that's the agenda. It's not because they care about energy efficiency. It's because they're afraid of being held accountable by the very people they represent. This isn't just legislative fluff. It's a Republican filibuster to justice. And everyday Americans are realizing it's happening in plain sight.
As you know, Mr. Speaker, the Republican majority gavelled us out of session 11 days ago. Here we are, back in Washington, D.C., and of course, for us, it feels a lot like Groundhog Day, because notwithstanding all of the economic turmoil, the conflicts across the globe, the various ways in which this administration is making life harder for the people of Colorado, for folks across our country, notwithstanding all of the challenges that our country is grappling with, House Republicans have decided to spend this week debating what? 3 bills: walk-in freezers, commercial refrigerators, and giving new responsibilities to a department, the Department of Education, that they are seeking to dismantle, that they want to abolish. That's what we're debating here today.
North Carolina Representative Virginia Foxx just didn't avoid her constituents. She admitted it, on tape, that she won't hold a town hall because it's just a chance for people to yell at her. That's her reasoning. Not that it's unproductive, not that it's unsafe, not even that she's too busy. She's just afraid of being yelled at. That's the state of Republican leadership now. Elected officials hiding from the people who put them in office because they can't handle tough questions or angry voices. Meanwhile, back in her district, she's telling folks she's out there talking to people every weekend, but on national television. Town halls are too rowdy. So which one is it? You want to talk about waste of time? Let's talk about what they're doing instead of listening to their districts. Joe Neguse laid it out.
I just spent a week in Colorado, in the rural communities that I represent, hosting town halls, visiting with folks in my community, constituents, ranchers, farmers, teachers, working families, packed town halls. And at those town halls, you know the one subject that no one brought up? Commercial refrigerators. It never came up. No constituent of mine approached me at a town hall that we held 3 days ago with over 1,000 people in my community. No one at that town hall said, "Congressman, can you please go back to Washington and pass legislation on commercial refrigerators? It's really important." Nobody said that. They were really concerned about the Republicans' plan to gut Medicaid. They're pretty concerned about the Republican plans to dismantle Social Security offices across the country. They're deeply concerned about reports that this administration is going to end phone line customer service for senior citizens who are relying on Social Security. They're pretty concerned about a Secretary of Defense who apparently is sending out war plans on unencrypted messaging apps, putting our national security at risk. Those are the topics that my constituents care about.
House Republicans just got back from an 11-day recess. And what's the first thing on their legislative calendar? Appliance bills, freezers, commercial refrigerators, not Social Security, not Medicaid, not veterans care, not housing costs or health care access. No, they're debating how cold your walk-in fridge can legally be. That's how they're using your tax dollars. And Neguse didn't let them off the hook. He stood on the House floor and said it flat out. Not one single person at his packed town halls brought up commercial appliances. Not one. And this is a guy who shows up, listens, and answers questions in rural communities across Colorado. Packed rooms, people bringing real concerns. Meanwhile, Virginia Foxx won't show up to a single one. And the irony, Foxx and her colleagues are wasting everyone's time pushing responsibilities onto the Department of Education, the very department they're actively trying to dismantle. That's not governance. That's sabotage in slow motion. And if you want to know how far gone Virginia Foxx really is, just listen to her describe government spending as a cancer that needs to be cut out. That's not policy talks. That's demolition rhetoric. It's the same unhinged logic that led Argentina's crypto clown president Javier Milei to hand Elon Musk a literal chainsaw as a symbol of slashing bureaucracy. Now Milei's country is in full revolt. Seniors have lost their savings, protests fill the streets, and the economy's collapsing under Musk-style deregulation. And Foxx, she's parroting the same language here at home. She's not fixing government. She's laying the groundwork in order to destroy it. These Republicans are talking about foreign interference in education while they're gutting the very agency meant to protect students, fund programs for kids with disabilities, and make sure poor schools can hire enough teachers. They want to burn down the house, but they're still sending mail to the front door. And let's talk about why they're doing it. It's not about policy, it's about distraction. Because if they keep the spotlight on appliance bills and culture war noise, they don't have to answer for what Elon Musk is doing behind the curtain. They don't have to explain why Musk, who's not elected to anything, is now investigating signal leaks, influencing defense policy, and funneling money into state elections. He's not trying to save democracy, he's trying to own it. And Foxx, like the rest of them, is just carrying water for the billionaires while pretending it's public service. And while Republicans play legislative dress-up, the rest of the country is getting crushed. Veterans are being told that their care is too expensive. Social Security offices are closing. Seniors can't get anyone on the phone to ask about their benefits. Women veterans in Congress are demanding accountability after blatant national security breaches, stuff that would have landed anyone else in prison or a court-martial. And still, nothing. No action, no outrage from the GOP, just more distractions, more noise. Elon Musk can show up in Wisconsin wearing a cheesehead hat like he's a folksy little outsider while he's actively handing out million-dollar checks tied to a PAC days before a key Supreme Court election. And the kicker? Tesla's under legal scrutiny in the same state. Coincidence? Not a damn chance. That's not a quirk. That's corruption with a side of cosplay. And now those same voters who backed Donald Trump thinking the pain would be reversed for someone else, immigrants, people of color, liberals, they're waking up to the consequences. Layoffs, missed mortgage payments, wiped out savings. They thought Trump would break the system for somebody else. But the system doesn't break on command. It collapses. And when it does, it takes everyone with it. People are starting to realize what happens when you vote out of spite. When you elect someone to own the libs, don't be surprised when they end up owning your Social Security, your health care, your job. This isn't a drill. It's not theoretical anymore. It's happening in plain sight. And through it all, the GOP keeps feeding you spectacle. They're not governing. They're not even obstructing. They're just wasting time with a straight face while billionaires like Musk loot what's left of the system. This isn't a legislative process. It's a performance. It's cover. It's what happens when a party's too scared to face the people it claims to represent. Because when you are afraid to be yelled at by your own constituents, then you shouldn't be in Congress. And when your response to that fear is to waste the people's time on walk-in refrigerators while the world burns, that's not leadership. That's the Republican filibuster to justice. And now we're all living in it. And that is an absolute fact. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.